Dice bags are a really cool thing to have. You can really make them personal to you and your character, especially if you make your own. You can buy them, which is cool. There's some great ones out there, but I found it's so easy. It's so ridiculously easy to make one of these that really, why would you spend money on one? Here's how to make one. Welcome back to Mind Milk D20. My name's Jim, and well, this is another crafting video. I made this dice bag. This is the first dice bag I've ever made, so there were a couple of things that I would classify as mistakes in the making of this, but I've learnt from that, and I'm going to show you how to put one of these together, having learned from all those mistakes. The important thing I want to get out of this video is just to say, hey, these things are so easy. And this one didn't cost me anything. I just used some old fabric. This is made from a skirt of my wife's that she didn't want anymore. This is like a shoelace and some other bits I had laying around the house. And the lining is made out of felt. It looks pretty snaz, I think you'll agree. There are a few criteria that I wanted for my dice bag. I wanted to be able to easily cinch it closed, but I also wanted to be able for it to be wide so I could kind of reach in, find a specific dice, or just kind of tip the whole lot out. There's also pockets within that lining, 3 pockets, so that I can put specific dice in specific spots and know where I kept them. But there were a couple of mistakes, as I mentioned. One of the major ones with this is that I feel like I made it much too tall, where it more squat. I think that would be a nicer form factor. So if I did it again, that would be one of the things that I'd fix. But enough of me talking about this one. How can you make yours? Okay, so we're going to make a dice bag like this one. And because I hand sew mine, it's actually quite difficult to film that in such a way that you can see what's going on. So we're going to use paper to represent the fabric in this video. It's a kind of diagrammatic way of showing you. This yellow piece of paper represents the outer fabric. Now, to make this project, you may be using fabric which has a outward facing side and an inward facing one. You want the side of your printing on the side that you want to be on the outside of your bag when you're finished, and that needs to be facing down the table. The green piece of paper here represents our lining. That needs to be a double faced piece of fabric. Something like felt where there isn't really a front or back is perfect, because you're going to fold the bottom up just like I have here. And now I'm marking on with a pencil where I stitched my 2 halves of the green fabric together, and I'm going to use a stapler here to represent everywhere where I did stitching. This then creates the 3 pockets in the lining of the bag, which is pretty cool. Once you've lined up that lining with the inside of the bag, then you're going to create 2 small seams at the top here. This is something I didn't do on my one and regretted, because it's the only raw edge on my finished bag, because I didn't think ahead. And what this is going to do is just create a small seam, which is going to be very useful when it comes to the next bit. Now, you could tuck your drawstring through the channel that you're going to sew in a second afterward, but what I did, and what seems a lot easier to my mind, is just to place it in there beforehand, fold the fabric over to create the channel, and then sew it in place. It saves feeding in your drawstring after. So what you need to do is make sure you sew your lining into that channel as well, and then it'll make the opening of your bag look really nice and minimise the number of seams going on in there, and it's going to look really snazzy. Take the whole thing and make a tube. We're going to sew down that side edge and then along the bottom. So here's my quote-unquote sewing machine. Once you get down the side there, you will have made a tube, and you want to carry on sewing along the bottom as well. You could turn this inside out now and it would be a perfectly serviceable dice bag, but we're going to go further. We want to have a square bottom. This is hard to demonstrate in paper, but what we're doing is opening up the dice bag from inside across the stitch lining, and then folding a small triangle at each corner and sewing that off, and that creates a nice rectangular bottom which allows the bag to stand up on its own. And then you turn the whole thing inside out and you have your finished dice bag. It really is that simple. Even with my strange way of demonstrating it, it's still pretty easy. I hope you enjoyed the video. See ya! Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Tell me down below what you liked about it. Hey, look over here, there's some videos that YouTube thinks you'd quite like to watch, and who are you to argue with Google? Click subscribe. Thanks for watching. Cheers.